Okay, folks, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into a real head-scratcher. The Duende of Zaragoza. Picture this. 1934 Spain. A nation on edge, teetering on the brink, and suddenly, bam! An ordinary apartment building becomes the epicenter of, well, you'll see.
It's funny how these things happen. This case, it just explodes out of this period of intense social and political turmoil. Almost like all the anxieties of a nation, they kind of coalesced into, well, a voice, literally.
Okay, so it's September 23rd, 1934, and we're not talking about some faint whispers here, right? People are hearing full-on sinister laughter echoing through the building. Multiple families, actually. This wasn't just some figment of imagination, Multiple people experienced this.
Right, and that's a crucial detail. It wasn't just someone imagining things in isolation. It was a shared auditory experience, and that makes it much harder to just dismiss.
Oh, absolutely. But here's where it goes from unsettling to downright creepy. Enter 16-year-old Pascuala Alcacer, a maid working in the building, and she starts hearing these strange sounds coming from the kitchen stove. Groans, whimpers,
And not just any voice, mind you. It starts as these guttural sounds, but then it actually progresses to phrases, sentences, like, "You're hurting me."
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Talk about spooky. This wasn't just random noise. This thing, whatever it was interactive.
Oh, for sure.
It responded to what people were doing and saying. And if things couldn't get weirder, the voice gets specific. It starts addressing people directly.
Yeah, I read about that.
Even the building owner's young son, calling him Little One.
Which, of course, just amps up the fear and speculation.
No.
People pay attention when the unexplained gets personal.
No kidding. And get this, it wasn't just Pascuala anymore. Neighbors, the building owner, even the police who were called in, they all heard it.
And that's significant because now you've got figures of authority involved. The police, representing order and reason, even they were witnesses to these unexplainable events. It just lent this air of credibility to the whole thing.
You'd think with that many witnesses, someone would have an answer, right? But no. They searched that building high and low, inside and out, and came up empty-handed.
And they were thorough. Tearing apart walls, digging a trench around the building to rule out any external sources, even cutting off all utilities.
And through it all, this voice, this duende, it's like it was taunting them.
Adding insult to injury, right?
Right. And just when you think it couldn't get weirder,
Oh, it gets weirder.
it does.
What really sets this case apart are the specific details. Things that just defy simple explanation. For example, the voice accurately stated the exact dimensions of the chimney flue before anyone had measured it.
So it's like this duende had an architectural blueprint or something. Was it a ventriloquist with insider knowledge? Hidden tech playing tricks? What were the theories back then?
Oh, they explored everything you just mentioned. Ventriloquism, especially with Pascuala as the prime suspect.
Yeah.
That was a popular theory. But they also investigated the possibility of hidden microphones, transmitters, even some disgruntled actor using early radio technology as a prank.
Wow, so they were really grasping at straws. I mean, it seems like they'd consider anything but the possibility of something truly unexplainable.
Well, you have to remember the context. This was a time of great scientific advancement, but also a time when spiritualism was experiencing a resurgence, especially in Europe.
So it was this weird clash between modernity and the occult. No wonder people were spooked. Did anyone just chalk it up to mass hysteria? Everyone getting a bit carried away?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There were skeptics, naturally. Some attributed the events to mass hysteria, suggesting the tense political climate played a role in fueling people's anxieties. Others suspected a hoax, but even they struggled to explain away all the evidence.
And then the story explodes. It wasn't just local gossip anymore. This talking goblin made headlines across Spain.
Well, that's the power of media, even back then. This case, it gripped the nation. Local papers ate it up, then national coverage. Even the Times of London ran front-page stories about the talking goblin of Zaragoza.
I bet. And you know what they say? Where there's public intrigue, there are entrepreneurs ready to cash in.
Oh, absolutely. Duende radios, duende flour, even duende chewing gum. You name it, someone slapped the duende name on it for a quick buck.
Talk about a bizarre marketing scheme. So the duende is making headlines, sparking business ideas. And then the letters start pouring in.
No letters.
Yeah.
Some claimed to be the duende, confessing to the hoax. Others sent love letters, convinced it was a real entity worthy of affection.
People were smitten with this talking goblin. But as we know, things take a darker, more serious turn. The authorities, with no logical explanation in sight, turned to something far less conventional: the occult. Wait, hold on. They called it a medium. They went from tearing down walls to
Trying to talk to spirits? That's a heck of a leap.
Well, desperation, it can make people do some unexpected things. The authorities, they were completely stumped. So they decided to bring in this renowned spiritualist, Asuncion Jimenez.
Talk about a high-pressure gig. I can't even imagine being that medium, expected to just waltz in and solve a mystery that had everyone else stumped. What was the public's reaction to all this? It was a mixed bag. Spiritualism, it was, well, gaining traction, but it wasn't exactly, mainstream science at that point. So for Jimenez to be involved in an official capacity, it really highlighted the desperation, but also this growing openness to unconventional explanations. Some were hopeful, others skeptical, and, well, a lot of people were just plain scared.
Okay, so what happened? Did Jimenez just, like, march into that apartment and have a nice little chat with the Duende?
Not quite. The outcome of this whole paranormal intervention was, well, let's just say not what anyone expected. During a seance held away from the apartment building, Jimenez died.
She died during the seance?
Yes, sadly she did. Whether it was a coincidence, a stress-induced heart attack, or something else entirely. Well, we can't say for sure.
Oh man, I bet the rumor mill went into overdrive after that. People probably thought the Duende had struck her down or something.
Oh, for sure. Rumors ran wild. People were terrified. Was it a coincidence? A display of the Duende's power? A warning? No one could say for sure. But what we do know is that not long after this tragic event, something rather strange happened. Or should I say, didn't happen.
Okay, all right, you've got me on the edge of my seat. What happened?
Silence. Complete and utter silence. It was December 1934, just 3 months after it all began, and poof, the Duende of Zaragoza vanished. No more voice, no more laughter, no more unexplained phenomena. It was as if it had never been there at all.
Hold on. All that buildup, all that chaos, and then nothing. Just a sudden, silent ending. Anyone ever live there again?
It was demolished. Whether that was to erase the memory of what happened, of a necessary step after all those invasive investigations, or because people were genuinely afraid of what might still linger there,
Yeah.
well, those answers were lost to time.
You've got to be kidding me. So, not only do we not know what caused this whole thing, but most of the official records vanished too. Probably during the Spanish Civil War. That's one cold case.
Unfortunately, it's not uncommon. So much of history is lost to conflict, to neglect, even to something as mundane as, bureaucratic mishaps. We're left with fragments, pieces of a puzzle, and we're desperately trying to put it all together.
And what about Pascuala? What happened to her? The young maid at the center of it all.
That's perhaps the saddest part of this whole story. Even though the voice continued after she left the building, Pascuala, she bore the brunt of the blame. She was branded a fraud, ostracized by her community, forced to return to her village in disgrace. Can you imagine?
It's a stark reminder that sometimes the true monsters aren't supernatural at all. It's that very real human capacity for fear and cruelty. Especially in the face of the unknown. We turn on each other, looking for someone to blame when things don't make sense.
Exactly. And in Pascuala's case, the trauma seems to have stayed with her. Some accounts say she carried the weight of that experience for the rest of her life. A stark reminder of the human cost of the unexplained prison pace.
So we've got this incredibly well-documented case, multiple witnesses from all walks of life, unexplainable phenomena, and then silence. What do we make of it all?
It really is amazing, isn't it? The more we dig into the Duende of Zaragoza, the less we seem to actually know. We've got this incredibly well-documented case, multiple witnesses, people from all walks of life, and yet no real answers. Was it a hoax? A genuine paranormal entity? Or something we can't even classify?
That's the thing about these sorts of events. They just resist easy categorization. We want to slap a label on it, hoax, mass hysteria, genuine paranormal activity. But the Duende of Zaragoza, it doesn't fit neatly into any box, and that's what makes it so fascinating. It's exhilarating and frustrating all at the same time, right? You've gone through all the sources, you've immersed yourself in the historical context, and you still can't help but wonder, what if? What if we had all the missing pieces? What if we could go back and see what really happened?
Exactly. And that's what makes this case so enduring, even after all these years,
Yeah.
It forces us to confront the limits of our understanding. We live in this world where we're just bombarded with information, technology at our fingertips that would have seemed like magic a century ago. And yet, here's this event, this mystery, from nearly 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it still mystifies us.
It's like a reminder, No matter how much we think we know, how advanced we become, there's always that possibility. Of something unexpected, something unexplainable, lurking just around the corner. It makes you think twice about dismissing things as impossible, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it highlights how our perception of the unknown, it's often shaped by the world around us. Just imagine if this happened today, in our world of social media. instant global communication. The spread of information, speculation, fear, it would be amplified exponentially.
Oh, absolutely. The Duende of Zaragoza would be trending worldwide within minutes. But it also makes you wonder, would we be quicker to dismiss it as fake news, a viral marketing stunt? Or would the mystery still captivate us in the same way?
That's the question I'll leave you with today. As you delve deeper into these mysteries, these unexplained phenomena, remember the Duende of Zaragoza. It's a reminder that the world is full of wonders, some of which we may never fully understand, and sometimes. The most compelling mysteries are those that leave us with more questions than answers.
So keep those thinking caps on, folks. Never stop questioning, never stop exploring, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to crack the code of the next great enigma. Until next time, happy exploring.